Hello. In this video I want to talk about the levels of consciousness. The levels of consciousness I find a very useful way to describe what's going on in the mind, and also a very good system to work with when you want to have inspiration leading you through daily life actions. So this is what you want. You have a sparkle, an idea, and you want that to be leading in your activities, in the things that you do, in the projects that you make, and you want to be working from that, to be inspired. Now, as I said, the levels of consciousness are a very good way to seeing what happens in the first place, and then to make use of it and to make sure that you can let this maybe moment, only a moment of inspiration, guide you through your actions. Now, first of all, the first layer I want to describe is the day consciousness. It's this one. The day consciousness is the here and now. It's where you act. So you do your actions, and while you're doing it, you stay open. You see, you're aware, you're awake. That's why it's called day consciousness, as opposed to a troubled mind where you have a lot of thoughts like, oh, this is not good enough, or maybe I should have done this differently, which we all, of course, know very well. But day consciousness is the one to be trained, because day consciousness makes it possible to be more open-minded, to be awake, to be in your actions, to see and feel and hear, and to be interacting with your environment. You can interact from day consciousness, not from a troubled mind. So day consciousness is actually the most important, and also the one that you can practice. What is the advantage of day consciousness? That is that you are, like I said, it's a rather silent state of mind. It's clear, it's open. And there you can receive actually the inspiration that I talked about. So you get an idea, but the idea might be soft, might be not a big bang. And receiving an idea is often something that, hey, it's more like a silent voice, like the whispering. And you need to be silent enough to at all be able to receive an idea and to recognize it as an idea. And this idea I call the absolute consciousness. The absolute consciousness is where the idea comes from, and absolute consciousness, I call it absolute because it's just there. So there's no time involved, you just receive the idea, you don't know where it comes from, but it is, and it comes to you if you listen well, if you're able to listen well, it comes to you as truth, as, hey, this is what I need to do, this is where I want to go. So absolute consciousness, just an idea, just a moment that it's there, but then you cannot go around it anymore if you're true to yourself. As opposed to the night consciousness. Night consciousness is where we bring, where we are a lot of our time. We spend hours and hours, days, weeks, some people their whole life in night consciousness. You're having thoughts like, I don't know, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe there's no money for it, nobody's waiting for it, this idea has been done already often and better than I can ever do it. It can, and it spirals down. It brings you into a sort of state of depression or anxiety. And night consciousness is like an automatic state of mind. It feeds itself, and if you don't interrupt, then it will go on and on, like I said. And day consciousness needs a sort of being clear, being awake, but if you're not clear, you're in night consciousness. That's why this system talks of day and night, because night just so happens. It also is called night consciousness because in the night, in the actual night, you're very vulnerable for this kind of thinking. There's no There's no hold, there's no stop in your thoughts like this. It just goes on and on and on, oh, and tomorrow and this and that. At least I know this very well, but a lot of people do. So the night consciousness takes over by nature. It's also, of course, a biological protection mechanism. We need to have our anxieties in order to encounter danger and to be prepared for it and to be alert. But if projected to all the things we want to do, and if we don't have any method of controlling it, then it gets very counterproductive. So the night consciousness wants to jump on your idea. It says, that's not a good idea, it's done already often, etc. What I just said. It's also jumping on the way you want to work on the idea, the way you want to perform your actions. So it can be there all the time. Now, what you need to fulfill your dreams and to get your actions done is another form of consciousness, which I call the self-awareness. You are aware of yourself. That's something very human. We are able to be aware of ourselves. So you can see, you can act. I can record this video, but I can also say, hey, this is Onno, and he's recording a video. That's a state of mind that you can have. You can look at yourself. Like this, using this self-awareness, you can also look at your actions, you can also look at your ID. You can see, hey, this is an ID, and I feel that it's genuine, and I feel that it's good, and I feel inspired by having the ID, so let's do this. You cannot grab all your IDs and do everything that comes into your mind, at least I can't. But the ones being important for you, you might want to grab, you might want to bring into reality. So that needs a decision. The decision, yes, I'm going to do it. The yes is a decision of self-awareness. So self-awareness is, for instance, decision. And that decision might lead you through the whole sequence of actions needing to be done to get the idea into reality. So from inspiration to realization of your idea, you need to recognize the idea in the first place. To be silent enough to be able to recognize the idea. Then you need to make a decision based on feeling that it's a good idea, a yes. And then you can start to give water to your idea, to start to fulfill the actions and to keep the spirit going, to stay inspired or to get re-inspired and do the actions. I will make another video on watering the ID and keep inspired on the way. But basically you need to know this in order to know what you are doing and how it works. There's another use of self-awareness, and that is on the night consciousness. These thoughts, like I said, threaten your ID. They threaten your ID, they threaten your actions. This was crap, this was miserable, you cannot do it, you see that you're not good enough, etc. You need a mind, an awake mind, which says, hey, this is not the truth, it is what I call a dragon. I call these thoughts dragons. So the dragons, they jump on your ID with an eagerness. They say it's crap and everything, and you need to be awake. You need to have a clear mind which says, hey, this thought I often have, but it's a dragon. It's not the truth. Well, I have other videos on dragon, watch them. But for now, this is just to explain the different layers. So, if you're aware of these layers, it gets much easier to fulfill your dreams, to get your ideas done into reality. I don't say that it's easy, because this path implies a lot of work and also implies a lot of fear, a lot of doubt. But when fed by an inspiration, by an idea, you will be able to go over and to get it done, to grow from your process and become a better performer by every project that you realize. That's what I wish and why I explain the levels of consciousness to you. Thank you very much.